What's going on YouTube? H-Dub here, and we playing Raid. Now, I got Clan Boss running in the background right now because if I don't do it first thing in the morning, it's just not gonna get done for the day. So don't mind the run, guys. I need to take care of it now. But before we really get started, I want you guys to pause the video. I know I've said this before, but pause the video. And I want you to comment down below whether you purely play Raid Shadow Legends mobile, you play on PC, or you play both. Just take a second. It'll only take you a second. Mobile, PC, both. Simple. If you are a mobile player, I want you to also mention what's the biggest difficulty that you've had with playing this game on mobile. And I'll give you guys, a second. But make sure you comment that down below. Now, before we dive in, I just want to say if you haven't seen the collab I did with Chosen, go and check it out on his channel. I'll put the link below. And if you in fact have seen it, then you know that your boy H-Dub started off as a purely mobile player. And I played this game for about 6 months mobile before I ever played it on any type of computer. After this coming Valentine's Fusion, it's going to make about 3 years for me playing the game. I know this because I had just missed the Rotos Fusion. I will never forget it. Someone commented on the channel and asked me to make a video about the difficulties of playing purely mobile. And I felt like it was something that I could very easily discuss. I do have an opinion about it. I feel like my opinion is as valid as the next person's. And although I do play on a computer now, I still play a ton of Raid on my mobile phone. That has not changed at all for me. I'm also married, and my wife and I have a son, so I'm not always on my PC unless I am working, or actively working, as I should say. So I don't I'm not on the computer a lot, and so I play a ton of Raid mobile. In addition to that, I don't know how to use RSL Helper at all. And seeing as though I just got a PC about 2.5 weeks ago, I haven't exactly had the time to learn how to use RSL Helper. RSL Helper also isn't available for Mac, and before I got the PC, I was playing on a Mac for the last 2 years. So no, I don't know how to use it, and I know I'm rambling a bit, but let's go ahead and get into the things I feel like were most difficult for me playing purely mobile. Now, this is just my experience. I have come across mobile players who feel like they're not at a disadvantage at all. They don't have any complaints. Most of those guys are honestly spenders, so if you're spending, you're not complaining too much unless it's about the packs. But those guys are honestly few and far between. For the most part, majority of the mobile player base does feel like they can be at a disadvantage at times. But the first disadvantage I would say for me was that, it's the fact that you're mobile, right? And you're probably playing on a phone. I didn't have any tablets, iPads, or any of that stuff to have Raid running on. So yes, I was playing on an old iPhone for 6 months, right? I recently gave that phone to my little brother because he needed a phone. But yes, technically I still own the phone, so maybe one day I'll get to show you guys that phone. But although you can do a ton with today's phones, at the end of the day, they're still phones, and they do have certain limitations. If you're farming anything on your phone, sitting on a charger because you're doing something else, right? Whatever you normally do throughout the day, all it takes is like one phone call to come through, and then boom, it just instantly pauses your run, right? And if you are actively checking it, then your phone will just be sitting there, paused, with all the energy that you loaded up, and it's just going to be sitting there. Now, this is unlikely if you're farming during the day, because chances are, if it's daytime, you're going to be checking your phone. But if it's on the charger and you're farming it overnight, at any point you could be left disappointed. God forbid you forget to put it on the charger, because it's 100% going to die. And before it does, if you're on an iPhone, it's going to ask like, do you want to enable low power mode, which automatically pauses the run. Not sure how things work on Android, but if you have an iPhone, like when that message pops up, it automatically pauses the run. No question about it. The next thing I would say is just the amount of multi-battles. Once you farm those multis out, it's a wrap, right? You're going to be clicking away. And unless you use the accessibility features on the phone to make a macro, you're just going to be clicking away. At one point I tried to make a macro, but it didn't go that well for me. And if you are free to play, the only extra multi-battles you're going to get are going to be from promo codes, which they don't drop very often. And the other disadvantage of the promo code multi-battles and those resources are you're only going to have 6 days to use them, which is honestly terrible. No one should be forced to use resources within a particular time period. I understand like the 99 days or what have you, like I can live with that, but like 6 days is kind of unreasonable. They could at least give you enough energy to use all of the multi-battles that come with the code, but that's just Polarium, and I've learned to live with it, quite frankly, even though it is still frustrating to get like 50 multi-battles, 100 multi-battles, and then just 2 energy refills. Like what am I going to do with 260 energy and I have 100 multi-battles that I need to use? Like it doesn't even make sense. I don't know who is deciding these numbers. This thing makes it tough though to compete in tournaments, and it can make relentless gear almost impossible to get, which is kind of unfair. Now I know that is mostly for free to play players. If you're a spender on mobile, you're probably buying multi battles. You probably have enough energy to compete. I know a few, and I know the matchmaking with tournaments prioritizes players based on how they did in previous tournaments, but I don't know if they only match mobile players with other mobile players. I'm sure someone can verify that. I'm not an official content creator for this game, guys, so like I don't really have like inside access to be like, hey, how's the matchmaking like completely work? I know about like prioritizing based on your previous performance, but I don't know anything more than that. I feel like that's like general knowledge at this point. I'd be really interested to know though if PC players and mobile players are getting matched together. That would be something that would be interesting to find out. Could be a hot take. Someone comment down below though if you know for sure. But farming is tough, and because farming is the most important thing you can do for the overall progression of your account, this is why it is so difficult being purely mobile, right? If you're buying gear packs, this doesn't apply to you again, but most people aren't. Only the really in-game players are buying gear packs, right? But I think if you are a spender, you should pretty much spend on gear packs and not energy to farm. It just overall, no matter where you are in the game, is a safer bet to go, especially because we have chaos ores now that you can get from various places in the game. In the clan shop, you can get them in packs, you can get them in events and tournaments and whatnot as well, and you can re-roll those pieces, especially if you're buying like legendary 6-star sets. You're probably going to re-roll as many of those as you can if you're buying packs. But let me get back to it. Mobile players really can't farm, right? So when we talk about farming, we're talking about like hundreds to thousands of runs. Like you can do some runs, but you're not going to be doing thousands of runs on your phone, okay? And all of this is energy dependent, of course, but without farming, you're not getting better artifacts. And without better artifacts, you're not really making progress, because champions can only do so much without great artifacts. Doesn't matter which champion you get. Obviously, some are better than others, but you need great artifacts, man. So if you're not spending, if you're not getting packs, then I'm sure that you are getting fed up with this game. Next to farming, I would say is like FPS, right? And while some of today's phones have decent FPS, and have so many capabilities, the runs can still be slower than if you were on a PC. So even if you could farm, right? Even if you could do like thousands of runs, right? You still be farming it slower than someone on a PC. And if you've never played games seriously, then you probably never considered how FPS affects your runs. And I'm not ashamed to say that it was a concept that I only learned about once I started playing Raid on a PC. I was having a great time playing a mobile game, having fun, getting dopamine, pulling shards, thinking I was doing something, right? My clan boss team was trash. Like I was just having fun, playing it like any other game that I would play on my phone. I didn't take it that serious. I wasn't thinking about how fast I was doing things. I just wasn't. And this is something that I only learned about once I started playing on the computer, because I actually wanted to start competing, right? I wanted to compete. I wanted to progress my account. I wanted to feel better about the progress that I could have been making, right? And that I eventually did make. And I can only imagine how many of you aren't aware of this. There are some things that you can do to increase the FPS on your phone while gaming, but sadly, one of those things is not using the charger, which if you don't use, the phone will probably die while farming, because if you're like me, you've driven that battery into the ground playing Raid. Not to mention actually using it for the normal functions you use your phone for, like calling, texting, maybe surfing the web, checking apps, etc. In short, if your phone is like the phone that I started out playing Raid on, or even my current phone, the battery does not hold much life. I could be wrong though. Your phone might be a million times better than mine. You might have an OP phone, or maybe you just got a new phone or what have you. But I'm just telling you about my phone. You know what I mean? But now, and the next thing I would say puts mobile players at a disadvantage is the fact that, we have this Plarium play point system. And, obviously it's kind of a huge slap in the face to the mobile community. And I feel like a lot of the big CCs, they've already mentioned how long it's going to take to get the new login champion, because you don't get extra points that PC players get from using the Plarium client. Not to mention, people are purchasing packs, via the client, and they get bonus points for purchasing those packs through the client. Obviously, this was employed to get people to stop using Google Play to purchase things, because they want people to spend money within their client. It helps them a ton more. But these people are getting an extra 50 points per $10 spent, right? I covered this topic as well, but I did not cover how long it would take for mobile players, and the amount of time is actually crazy. So my calculations were for people playing on PCs, Macs, what have you, but I didn't do the math to see how long it will be for mobile players, and it's just insane. I think like Hell Hades has covered it, like YST, everybody has covered it, right? The amount of time is insane. And I've actually seen some people who already have the Saoirse avatar, right? They already have her avatar in game. And that is a ridiculous amount of points, guys. And you could easily calculate like how much they've spent in the game since they released that, just based on seeing that avatar. It's like, geez, man, you spent what? It's simple math, guys. Take the 50 points, take everything we've been able to get daily in the game, right? We only get what? Maybe 10 a day, 11 a day, something like that. Without looking, I don't remember, but I did the math before, right? So you can easily do this math to see how much someone has spent if they already have a Saoirse avatar. But I feel like those were pretty much my biggest disadvantages Obviously, the play and play is totally new, so that wasn't a thing when I was playing on mobile purely. But otherwise, I enjoyed that dopamine the same as everybody else. I enjoyed playing on mobile. I was having a great time, you know. But let me know what you guys think. What disadvantages do you think you're at if you're a mobile player, purely mobile player? And if you have 2 cents to add, PC players, go ahead and feel free to drop that as well. But thank you guys for watching again and again and again, because you guys are awesome. But until next time, be good and be well.